My name is Frankie, and it has been a while since I made a video, but it is good to be back with some updates today. I haven't posted a video in months, and that was a planned intentional break. I've been focused on three things instead throughout most of 2024. First and foremost was being a new dad. Our son Wesley recently turned 1, and it's been an incredible year watching him grow and learn and become a human with real personality. There truly is nothing better. The second thing I've been working on that I'm excited to share is a new book. It'll be my 5th personal finance book, which is crazy to think considering it hasn't even been 6 years since I published my first book, The Money Resolution. I never knew I'd write a second book, let alone 4 more. So it's been really fun finding this new hobby and way to share as much financial education as possible in these tiny little book packages. And I'm really excited about this one because it's a sequel in a sense to my first book. And as of now, I'm calling it Passive Income Resolution. I spent all of 2023 committed to my second ever official money resolution. I made a goal to create 12 passive income streams during 12 30-day challenges, and I documented the whole thing here on this YouTube channel. The book covers that entire journey. It's intended for the everyday person who wants to create their own passive income streams with little to no money. It's a how-to book, it's a self-help book, it's an education book, it's motivational, it's detailed, and it is hopefully a fun read. It's passive income for the rest of us, which is another title I actually considered. That brings me to update number 3, which is what I want to talk about today. The last few months, I've also been focused on trying to get my book published by a real publisher. All of my previous 4 books were self-published. I really liked the idea of self-publishing on my own timeline, on my own terms, and in my own words. But the problem is, when you self-publish, you're also responsible for all the marketing, and it's very hard to reach a large audience with a modest platform like I have here on YouTube. So for the first time ever, I decided to give it a shot. It also feels fitting to try since this book was all about trying hard challenges. Getting it published would almost be the perfect ending to the book in my eyes. So how do you get a book deal? I can't tell you because it hasn't happened yet, unfortunately, but the first realistic step is to find a book agent. That's the first big hurdle that you need to clear. That's the stage I'm on now. The reality is you can only contact most publishers with a book proposal if you are an agent. An agent is your book's advocate who helps you secure the deal and negotiate it for you. They do a lot more than that, but know that it's near impossible to get a book deal on your own. So how do you get an offer of representation from a literary agent? It's a difficult process, but here's how it's going for me so far. The first thing I did, and you'll need to do if you're trying to do the same, was write a compelling query letter. This is essential, so it's important to spend a lot of time on it. There are plenty of places to learn how to write a compelling one online, and honestly, even books about it, but the gist is it should be 1 page or less. It should hook the agent reading it with a sentence or 2 in the beginning. It should establish why the book needs to exist, and if you can bring research in to back that up, even better. And you need to provide exactly why you're the best person to write it. You do this by sharing information about yourself and your author platform, which means an audience that you can market to who already know, like, and trust you. And that is a lot to do in a few short paragraphs. And the truth is, you don't even have to have a book written to go through this agent query process. That said, I'd highly recommend that you have a detailed outline in several sample chapters at a minimum. So, how do you find actual agents to query? For me, I used querytracker.net. I created a free account and used the filter options to find agents that were currently open to accepting queries on my book's topic, which was business and personal finance. I'll tell you now, the results can be overwhelming. I had no idea there were so many agents out there. I instantly had over 200 agents from around 150 different agencies to sift through. My best advice from here is to get organized. I created a simple Google Doc with all of my notes as I researched the agents one by one. You could create a spreadsheet, or you could rely just on the features within Query Tracker that lets you star your favorites, write private notes, and even set reminders. I suggest you find a dozen or 24 of your favorite agents that you want to query before you start sending these out. On the other hand, some people just tackle it alphabetically and query everyone possible. And yes, some people query hundreds of agents. There are 3 main ways that you query agents. Query Tracker will indicate which way each agent accepts, but you should also go to the agent's website to find the submissions tab to be extra sure. The first query option is through a Query Tracker form. They usually consist of leaving your query letter at a minimum, but some of them ask for a lot more than that. In fact, some of them even require you to leave your book proposal or sample chapters, which I'll cover in a moment. The second way to query is through a specific form on the agency's website. And the third way to query is by simply emailing the agent your query letter or more if they request that. Again, no matter the agent's required method, be sure to read the submission guidelines on each agency's site because some of them have very specific requirements. For example, some won't open attachments in email, so everything needs to be in the body of the email. Some only accept attachments, but the file name needs to be in a specific format, and some require you to have a certain number of followers on a social platform or an email list size to query them, and so on. One thing I didn't expect was how many agents actually request your query letter, your full book proposal, and sample chapters right away. Since I didn't have a book proposal at the ready, I applied to my top choices that didn't require one. And I'm not gonna cover how to create a book proposal here. Again, there are many resources online and even books about these, but the minimum requirements are listed on screen now with some requirements that are optional, but you might want to include. So let's say you go through that entire process. After all of that, here's what you're hoping to hear. You want agents to request more information. If you only send a query letter, more information usually means a full book proposal and sample chapters. When I had my first request for more information, I was elated, but I didn't have a book proposal prepared, so I had to pull one together in a day, and it wasn't my best work. Needless to say, they passed on the project. But ultimately from there, you're hoping for an offer of representation. If that happens, go back to all your top agents that you haven't heard back from and let them know that you have an offer. They usually prioritize your query at that point. You might even get them in a bidding war to represent you. So here is Frankie's recap of the not so subtle art of getting a book deal. Step 1, you need a compelling book idea, a detailed outline, and a completed manuscript draft, ideally, or at least a few sample chapters. Step 2, you need an agent, so draft a query letter, sign up for querytracker.net, find agents to apply to, and apply. I recommend that you have a book proposal and again, sample chapters at the ready. Step 3, get an offer of representation from an agent. In a dream world, maybe multiple offers. And step 4, I'm not sure, but something, book deal offer from major publisher, or in a dream world, many offers. Congratulations, you are on your way to a published book. That is no small feat to be sure, but you still have a lot of work ahead of you. And now you can probably see why I decided to self-publish before now. One thing I didn't mention is after you query an agent, there is a whole lot of waiting, like a lot. It is rare that you'll hear back from an agent within a week or two. Most sites make it sound like they receive hundreds of queries a day, and who am I to question that? It is probably true. So the reality is most of them tell you it'll be somewhere between 4 and 8 weeks before you hear back. And if you don't hear back after 8 weeks, you can assume that the agent is passing on the project. So what are my updates on this process as of now? I wish I had exciting news to share, but sadly I don't. No agent offers yet. It's been 2 months and a week since I sent out my first query letter. In total, I have queried, wait for it, 123 agents. Yes, that is a crazy number. Yes, this is likely what it takes or more than that to get an offer of representation, at least according to all the research that I did. I set a goal to query 20 agents a week after I got my footing, and I stopped myself shortly after reaching my goal of 100 queries sent out. The other thing you need to know is be prepared for a lot of rejection. Don't take it personally. Normally, the rejection emails are very kind, short, and semi-sweet, though not very helpful. Of the 123 I've queried, I've received 29 rejections so far. I had 3 agents request more information. 2 of those have since passed on the project, so that is 31 rejections and 1 pending. And yes, that means almost 100 agents haven't gotten back to me. I may or may not continue to query in a few weeks, but in the meantime, I'm hard at work polishing my finished manuscript, which is 47,000 words. So those are my updates. That's what I've been up to. Baby book trying to get a book deal. If you're an agent and my book sounds amazing to you, please reach out. If you're not an agent, drop a like on this video and say something that's the opposite of rejection, because hey, a little positivity lifts your spirits when you feel a little defeated. But the good news is, no matter what, I get to self-publish this book on my own terms, in my own words, and on my own timeline if I don't get a deal. If you want to help me out by editing this book or in any other way, send me an email, frankie@themoneyresolution.com, and get in touch. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one, potentially with good news. We'll see.